regularly scheduled meeting of the Sunderland Board of Selectmen. We actually started earlier tonight at 6 o'clock downstairs with a emergency preparedness team hazard mitigation workshop, updating a plan that needs to be updated. As we learned, FEMA won't recognize things like training, preparation. So the question becomes, why do you work on the plan if you're not being accounted for? But that's a whole different discussion. So tonight we have a couple of appointments. We're going to start off with the Energy Committee to talk about a fresh program, and then careful with your language now, it's fresh. We're gonna talk to the Schmarowskis about the change in their farm standing, if you will. And then water commissioners are coming in, and we're going to have a recap of town meeting and town meetings events. So we can start with Energy Committee.
Didn't Margaret also say somebody else was coming in?
We have elementary school committee is coming in.
Yes.
45.
Sorry, mister.
Say it.
Good evening. For those of you listening at home, I'm Aaron Falwell, a member of the Sunderland Energy Committee, along with Laura Williams, our chair.
She left you in the front.
And Scott Reed is our newest member, but he had another meeting in Greenfield this evening. We're here to talk to you about a new initiative happening here in Franklin County called FRESH. That's an acronym that stands for Franklin Regional Energy Smart Homes. Basically, Energy Smart Homes was a pilot program undertaken in Greenfield over the last 3 years to enhance the outreach of the Mass Save program by working with town energy committees to expand the number of people who can take advantage of those services. Mass Save, as you might know, promotes energy audits and weatherization programs to enhance the energy efficiency of housing here in Massachusetts. Now, Massachusetts has made an extraordinary commitment to energy efficiency and has worked with the utility companies to create Mass Save. Mass Save is committed to invest $2 billion between 2013 and 2015 on energy efficiency. It's been quite successful to date, with more than 23% of households receiving an audit and more than 10% of those households going on to do various energy upgrades since its inception about 5 years ago. But now it's time to move beyond the mass mailings, the little inserts that you get in your electricity bill, to go past the early adopters, the people who are prone to this type of thing anyway, to the other people who are sort of saying, well, do I need this? What is it going to get me? How much is it going to cost? So those are the folks that need a little bit more hand-holding in order to get past that first step. That's what Energy Smart Homes and this new initiative called FRESH is about. So Greenfield found out that the way to get people past that first hump is not phone calls, not advertisements, not inserts, but face-to-face conversations. So they went and knocked on every single door in Greenfield, left them with information, left them with their calling card, and talked through what the steps are with various people, and left them with a phone number. So if they had more questions, there was somebody who they could call. And it was important, they found, that the person doing this outreach not be someone from the utility company, not be somebody from the company that does the weatherization work, but it's sort of a neutral party that doesn't have any financial investment in it, someone from the community, really, ideally, that they sort of know and can trust. And so what the results were in Greenfield were quite astonishing, that you might expect that after the first early adoption phase that the number of audits would dwindle from year to year. As a result of this type of door-to-door canvassing outreach, the opposite happened. The number of audits went up and up and up each year. So now what Energy Smart Homes wants to do, they were funded, by the way, by a US EPA Climate Showcase Communities grant. But part of that grant is to extend what they did in Greenfield to other towns in Franklin County, and that's where FRESH comes in. They hope to export what they've done in Greenfield to other towns, and FRESH is currently looking for funding. They wish to hire a coordinator and a trainer to coordinate the canvassing effort. But even before that happens, they want to do a pilot project in a town in Franklin County, just to show that the greenfield model can be exported to another town, and that could help to leverage funding for a county-wide effort to do this type of thing. And guess which town they've selected for their pilot project?
Coleraine?
Sunderland.
This is where it pays to be small.
Possibly
Not a good
because
guess, right?
the
I'm
Sunderland
not a good
Energy
guess right now.
Committee has been hot on the trail of this type of thing for a long time and expressed early interest. Ellie Castanopoulos, who has been the EPA coordinator for the greenfield effort, has come a number of times to speak to our committee. Margaret was at the last meeting where she came and presented her results and why she thinks this is a good model to export to other towns. So basically the pilot project that they hope to have happen here would be first to concentrate only on the owner-occupied units in Sunderland, of which there are about 770. And they are applying for a New England Grassroots Environmental Fund grant. They have a seed grant, which is about $1,000, and that would pay for a canvasser and a training program, or 2 canvassers actually, and the training to help do this type of outreach along with printing whatever literature. Here's the sample flyer of the type of information that we would discuss and leave with Sunderland residents. It's basically the information about the Mass Saves program, about the Community Action Program, which is available to low-income residents. Right now, there's a lot of money and support for, the audits are free, but the weatherization will pay for 75% of the air sealing, up to $2,000. And beyond that, there's a 0% heat loan. You can get a 0% interest loan to do further work. If you qualify as a low-income person using the standards outlined on that sheet, you can basically get that work done for free. So this is something we see that Sunderland should definitely take advantage of, and we're here basically to let you know that this is in the works and hopefully get your blessing for this type of thing to happen in Sunderland.
One of the components of this, the board, you can see actually there are several different organizations that people can contact. One of them happens to be the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and it's tied to the housing rehab program, which Sunderland is one of the participating towns in the current grant round, and energy improvements can be made under that program. So this is a chance.
Look at the back of the sheet; it has that information.
Yeah.
There you go.
So Sunderland is currently a participating town in this round. So it would get the word out to people that are eligible for housing rehab and for energy improvements. So
some of the roadblocks that happen, especially in the older housing units, and this is something that Community Action has faced, is that they get in, they look at the house, and what do they find in these old houses? They're knob and tube wiring or asbestos, and that sort of freezes everything because they can't blow insulation to a house that has that. It's against the electrical code. So what the HRA, the Housing Rehabilitation Program, can do is step in and do that work and remove that roadblock so that the weatherization work can actually happen. So this is a good marriage between these two types of programs to actually get some of those roadblocks out of the way.
Aaron, how do you plan to get the word out?
Well, as I said, it's going to be door to door. We're going to be knocking on doors. With this pilot project, they think that, let's see, it'll take approximately 120 hours to knock on the owner-occupied units based on the amount of time greenfield experience.
So
Because it's anything, I mean, you're basically bringing a lot of information to people, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, we're going to give them that information. We're going to ask them whether they've had an audit yet, whether they have done any weatherization work, whether they plan on doing it, do they know about the funding that's available. If they have any questions, here's a phone number that you can call. We'll check in with you maybe in a few months' time to see where your progress has been. That's the type of hand-holding I think that's required that doesn't just come from a piece of paper, but from an actual person who's there, who can answer questions, who can help people through that process.
Just bridging the gap.
Exactly. So that's what we hope to do here in Sunderland is
Good idea.
get our housing stock up to the highest standards we can, taking advantage of the many financial resources that are available to do that, especially for low-income people and seniors, and to be a pilot project for other communities and towns who have a similar interest once this FRESH program, which is a county-wide effort to do this, comes into existence. That, to get the funding for that, we've approached the utility companies, we've approached certain foundations, we've talked to Franklin Regional Council of Governments about that, and they're all interested, but everyone's sort of waiting for the next person to step their foot in first. So that program might not happen, or might not start until the end of this year. So we hope to do this work this summer, if we can get that.
Just gonna ask about that timetable. You're figuring a summer completion?
Yeah, we think if we can get that Grassroots Environmental Fund grant, which we think is probably a good chance we can,
Okay.
we can knock on the doors and find 120 hours sometime this summer. The Energy Committee will help. There'll be other volunteers we'll try to recruit, as well as paid canvassers with this grant money.
Perfect. I appreciate the update, and this is the merger of programs can only be a good thing. And acting as that bridge connecting people to it directly, as opposed to direct mail,
Yes.
robocalls.
And as you know, Sunderland is a green community, and we're in the process of doing the types of things that we've indicated in our Green Communities application. But this is, I think, a next step for green communities, not just to do energy upgrades on the municipal level, but our housing stock. We already have the stretch code, which applies to new construction and rehabilitation. So this is yet another way to bring energy efficiency within the reach of our citizens here.
Nice.
I actually, Mr. Chair, if I could, I actually think we need to publicize the availability of CDBG grants also. And we do, and in our homes, that could very well take advantage of that. So we should get that word out there.
Yeah.
Because that money, those monies are available.
Yeah.
And
Applied for,
and-
available.
Right, and it helps the people that need the help, so.
The other thing that, where you might come in, is that in order to make use of the Grassroots Environmental Fund grant, we need some sort of fiscal sponsor for that, for the money to come in and to be dispersed. And we were wondering if this board could act as a fiscal sponsor.
We'd have to know what any of the budget proposals and impacts would be, Aaron, before we can make any decision like that. But willingness, I should say, is something that I would expect the board to support within our resources.
Absolutely.
We just went through a rugged budget process, He said with a wince, I remember.
No, it would just be the conduit for the funding to go through.
Administrative.
Yeah. That's no trouble at all. We can coordinate that through the office.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your update and your hard work.
Thank you, Aaron, thank you, Laura.
Okay. Next up, we have a passing of a baton.
Might as well move up.
Sure, come on up.
Make sure you zoom in the guy in the blue jacket.
It's like in church, everyone wants to sit in the back.
Okay.
So we have in front of us is someone admitting she wants to sit in the back in church and
No, get Charlie in the front pew.
okay.
I'm okay with it.
So we have a transfer of the common vic license is in front of us tonight.
Do we transfer common vic license, or we just?
I think
Well, it's a new common vic.
A new
Yeah,
common
it's
vic.
under the new
Yeah,
name.
Change of name.
New owner's name.
And so, straight common vic, Schmarowski Farm Stand, Thaddeus C., gonna pick up that as the manager.
That is owner, yes.
Owner.
Owner.
Yes, owner.
Owner.
Yeah.
I was giving you a softball.
Owner.
Had one more chance.
I maybe should introduce,
Sure,
Yeah.
please do.
Yeah.
this is Teddy Smarowski III. This is his uncle Bernie, he's one of the uncles from Hatfield. Teddy's worked for his uncles for the last several years. But I shouldn't say several years, because he's only 21 to begin with. So this is a big step for him. He's a hardworking young guy. He went to school for agriculture, and this is what he wants, so. It's a big step. Karen and I are gonna work with him the first year, and,
You couldn't talk him out of it, huh?
well, the idea though is,
I just noticed that you've had that stand for 20 years almost.
well,
Yeah, almost 20
we
years.
built it in '95, but we were 10 years in front of our house with two large overhead wagons. And that's why we built it. It was just that there was so much traffic on that road. It was a liability issue with cars. We had a couple of accidents, and then we were worried about liability. So that's why we built the building, but I'm still, we're not really retired. We're both gonna be working with him. I still have a business in Belchertown, a farm stand, and Teddy's gonna have this business. He's also gonna have, he's projecting down the road another farm stand in Northampton. So, and it's all family related, so we like it because it's staying in the family name. And the opportunity was there to turn the reins over to somebody within the family, which is good. We had other offers. We like the idea, though, this situation where it's in the family, you know, and we want to see it be successful. We were fairly successful, Karen and I, we can honestly say. I like to think we've done very well, and we'd like to see him do well because we live next door. We want to see him
He'll
do
be
as well as
watching.
we do.
Means you'd better do well.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got a lot of windows that face
Or
up.
or we're gonna put up a big fence.
No, he'll be fine.
But,
So, you got anything to say?
Yeah,
Besides look at that
yeah.
picture?
I just moved here from Hatfield 6 months ago, and yeah, beautiful town. I
So you
like
live
it
on
so
this side of the
far.
river
He's
now?
on this
I'm
side
on
of the
this
river.
and
Yeah.
different county too, so big step.
Different on this side of the road.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Hey, you do get a discount on the tolls for the bridge. Charlie didn't tell you that yet?
No.
You don't have to pay the toll now.
no.
Oh, dear.
That's wonderful. Questions of the board?
Well, Charlie showed you these, right? The
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Charlie and Karen have pretty much abided by this since day one, so.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's
We're
gonna,
looking to keep everything the
he's gonna do
same.
everything the
No
same.
He's
changes.
doing, the few things that he's doing, not differently, but he's adding on, is like he's growing his own flowers, like hanging flowers, geraniums.
Yeah.
I bought them and sold them, but he's done that. He says his mother's a florist,
Yeah.
so he has the experience working with flowers, so that's gonna be an added thing for him.
So,
But-
yeah,
but
and if he
everything-
does,
yeah.
you know, decide anything new, he knows that he has
Has to come to the
you know,
town.
come and, you know, ask for approval or whatnot, so.
Yeah,
But
yes,
for now, he's
yep.
gonna have enough just to keep everything the same.
Yep.
That's why I'm gonna be there, and Charlie will be there, and maybe not working 12 hours, but 8 hours a day, cut back a little bit.
Just a little.
And then, of course, I'm next door, so I'm just a few feet away.
Any questions?
No, I don't think so.
So we're gonna sign a piece of paper downstairs if we ever approve, vote,
No.
you'll be off to the races.
Yeah, so you'll have to do you have to do your Board of Health inspection.
Yep.
You submit that. Usually, you guys are always seasonal, so you would do it
Yeah,
right before
I
the
would
start of the
call,
season.
yeah, Cindy, and then she lets Steve know, and then, because he'd like to hopefully open up this weekend, so I'll let Cindy know, and then usually Steve, he'll just say, you know, as long as I'm sure I'm there, he'll say, Karen, it's okay, you can go ahead, and then he'll do his little surprise inspection when, you know, I'm there.
So, new businesses, we usually allow them to make a sales pitch. So if you wanna pitch your business, go right ahead. I mean, you take, I mean, we cut into poker time, but you may have some of the follow-up people. So if you wanna say anything about your business, what you plan to do, or if you want interest.
Oh,
in-
like I
in-
said, I like to just keep it the same. You know, it's a new thing for me, and I'm a new business owner, so I don't want to make any new changes and go crazy. But I plan to feed the town of Sunderland and make everybody happy.
Really appreciate it. Look
Nice.
forward to your success.
Thank you.
That's an easy one.
So is there a motion?
Second.
The motion made and seconded to grant a common vit license to the Schmrowski Farm Stand. All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0, please. So we have a signed piece downstairs.
You can pick it up
very
tomorrow.
much.
Pick it up tomorrow, Teddy. Okay, all right, good. Okay, that's good.
Okay, great, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
David?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I have one other piece of it.
Oh,
Am I still on the clock or not?
Sure.
I have a question.
Good thing you waited till after you got.
no, this is something
There's a piece of land that
separate.
Teddy's farming, behind the town garage, where you have it's Gripco's land. Bernie, his family rents most of Gripco's land, including that parcel. There's potatoes planted, you'll see on both sides right now. They have potatoes on that parcel behind the garage. This year, it's a 7-acre piece, Teddy's gonna have it. He's gonna raise other crops besides, other than potatoes, but the question is there's a concern of getting to that field.
Because of?
Well, because of the fence there, with the chain, the gates.
Oh, they usually give him a gate. George has a key for you guys.
Could he get a key and he'd close it when he goes back for it?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, he's gonna have to go on another farmer's land, and I don't know if he
Just
wants
have to
to.
talk to George. Just talk to George. That was
Okay.
always the understanding with the, whoever farmed
Okay.
that land.
Okay,
And
okay, that would be
that-
great,
That'd be
because that'd be,
perfect,
that-
yep.
yeah, that'd be
Help a
great.
lot.
It's not a problem.
Okay, great, well, I'll speak with George, great.
Just stop and see George, tell him, and
Yep.
he'll
Okay.
have a key for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, because I saw Ed and Bob Skrubisky's, and that's what they pretty much said to do, so, but I said to talk with George, but I says, we're coming to the selectmen's meeting, so we'll bring it up to you first, so.
Well, that's
Okay,
what
great.
we always done. It's worked. I mean, I don't think, I
Yeah.
haven't heard any concerns about it, so.
No, yeah,
Does Gripco own that, or is that the town property?
As far as we can tell on that property, the town owns the gravel road, but no farther east, no farther, to the, north of the gravel road, yeah.
Yeah, but you can use it. We never had a problem with that.
okay, great, as long as we make sure we keep it
Lock
locked
it up.
after.
See,
Right,
what
yeah.
happened, what had Pet is that when it was used as a brush pile, people
Right.
would bring and they'd drop things off like
Everything,
batteries
yeah.
and
Motor oil.
oil.
Well, not only that, but people from out of town too, I've seen that
Right.
in the past, I've seen
And
that.
brush dumping.
Right, so that's why, that's good it's locked like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Okay.
Have a good night, thank you.
Text your daughter that we are
Oh,
official.
there you go.
I can hire her.
Keep her busy.
All right, goodbye, thank you.
Okay. So, we managed to do a little bit of catch-up. We have 2 more minutes. Check out our minutes. Minutes of April 22nd.
Motion.
A motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made second. This was the election, this was the warrant review. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
3-0, please.
Excuse me.
Very good. What else you wanna do?
Hi, Mike. We're gonna put a hold on Brenda Wozniakowicz.
Yep, I'm waiting to hear back from her whether she wants to be an official member. Fall Festival.
Okay, we have a policy in front of us for review, basically public systems and fees. This tonight is an extension of that. And effectively, what we're looking to do is develop the hourly costs for certain tasks performed for other entities. Understand our direct costs, our indirect costs, and then be able to create a billing rate, not unlike a billing agency does, whether it's the wastewater treatment district or wastewater treatment group or the water district or a grant round, which oftentimes we have administrative functions as part of. At least create over the course of the summer months, develop what is our overhead and what is a cost of an hour of the treasurer collector's time, an hour of the accountant's time, an hour of our office's time. Not so much elected officials, but the administrative functions. That's what this actual policy is about. But tonight we brought the water district in to talk about that specifically. So it's a great segue. Over the course of the summer, we're gonna have that identified down to basically, if you're gonna send out invoices or et cetera, it would be this much time equals this many man hours at this rate equals blank. So it's a dynamic formula, not a static value. But that said, the water districts here in front of us. You guys, we do through the collector treasurers, some invoicing for you, and in years past, it's been straight values. It tends to be cyclical. And I see this year it's gone up a little bit based at your annual meeting warrant. But again, I would say that going into September, we should have developed for you an hourly rate to work off of. So, that said, this conversation is about, you know, the amount of, the use that you have, the use that you use, what your kind of feeling for the future of that use is, and then open it up for discussion, so. Again, go ahead.
Okay, I came in just a bit late on this. So you're talking about charges for the treasurer collector for services rendered?
Yeah, over the course of the summer, we're gonna develop what those actual costs are,
Okay.
so that we can create an hourly rate for the service. Not unlike a billing agency would send you a rate, or the wastewater treatment plant. Again, that group does the same thing. That's not town-wide. The town sponsors, through the budget process, the collector treasurer's budget, but, you know.
So you designate a portion of that salary to wastewater for sending out bills
Yep.
and collecting bills?
Yep.
And,
Exactly.
okay.
I look at it as a cost center. I said, you guys appropriate, in this case here, this year, 5,190, it's just within my bifocal range, so. I'm gonna move my eyes back a little bit, about 5,190.
Yeah, we increased that this year, Scott,
Yep.
in anticipation that it might be more of an expense for the town.
Mhm.
It had been a set figure of 3,400 something for years.
Yeah, it was,
Well, thank you
in
for that,
recent
first
years,
and
it's
foremost.
been,
Well,
34.
Hasn't been approved yet. We still have to go through
3460.
meeting.
I understand, at least the proposal is there.
and that was for 14, 15 years, the flat fee, correct? Something like that.
Well, according to my discussion with Herb, he said when he started, 99.
Okay, so
So
about
that was
15,
15
15
years
years.
or so. And I think at that time, he said it was like 10% of the salary that was apportioned.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it was general figures of 10% of salary.
So I think the discussion the board's gonna embark on is, what's an hourly rate? And then what are the actual hours? And it can be in an invoicing format, or somehow we have to determine, you know, what actually the costs are. And it's, again, not just for the water district, but for each of the functions, so. David, Tom? You wanna weigh in?
No, it's no different, I'm sure the water commissioner is no different than they charge us for backflow testing at the school and the fire department, they charge the fire department for water. It's the same thing, we're asking them just to pay what services they use, and it's been pretty stagnant for 15 years, so we're not asking for anything more or less than what they
Right.
expect.
We actually started charging for backflows when we've been charged. Up to that point, we were doing it for no charge.
Yeah.
So it costs the district now to do backflow
Yeah,
tests.
right, then you pass it
Right.
through,
We gotta pass it along.
absolutely right.
Sure.
Public
Although
charity.
we did put in a bylaw that put a cell tower on the water tower area that helps support the water district, but
Planning board was very good to us.
I think that suggestion came from the Board of Selectmen, actually. But that's okay.
Planning board.
Well, I mean, it was any municipal property that it was.
But that's
like-
okay,
I
that's
think
fine,
We have a good relationship, and
most of the
I
time.
don't think we have to start looking for kudos. I think we all do good work, and we have a good working relationship, and
Yeah.
we look forward to the board's discussions in the future with their
Absolutely.
treasurer collector.
Yeah, and we do make, compensation to the assessors for their Mayflower or Patriots contract.
Yep, that's right, the percentage of that map work, yep.
30% rate.
Yep.
So,
And compensation to the assessors
salary.
themselves.
Correct, yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, that was, original, water district, bylaws. At that point, the treasurer collector was an elected position.
Oh, wow.
Back then, that's right. That's interesting. Well, the important part was to A, check in, and then B, help you understand the direction that we're headed in with respect to developing about the overhead. Actually, it's pretty easy math, and then creating an hourly rate or some kind of dynamic formula so that, the cost didn't keep up for 15 years, so they
Right.
simply can't.
So we would wait for an invoice from you.
Well, the structure will come
And
out
actually,
after the
probably wanna
policy.
talk to you before we send you an invoice.
Oh, absolutely.
We'd rather talk, make sure we're all on the same page.
Surprises.
Right.
Okay.
No, exactly. I think it's important.
I'm thinking of a number.
No. I think it's important to identify the tasks that are there, the amount of time it actually takes, are there efficiencies that can be had to minimize the time, and say, okay, it looks like it's about this.
Well, remember, the only bills that your collector collects are what's generated by the town.
Exactly.
Through the assessors and through Mayflower or whatever the agency is.
Yep.
Our water bills are paid directly to our treasurer. and-
That's why we'd think at some point when we kind of nail it down where we're looking, we need you, and again, the water district and the board of selectmen, this is all foreign to us. I mean, like you said, we haven't talked to you about billing in 15 years, as far as I can remember, so.
Well, the reason I ask if we wait for an invoice is because generally we would make a payment in June.
I wouldn't be changing anything.
There's
I
nothing
don't think,
changing in the current.
I don't think
year.
anything would change, Fred, until
Right.
your annual meetings were in the springtime like ours.
Next week, a week from
Yeah,
tonight.
see, we wouldn't be working, we'd put everything in place so that next year,
Next year.
when
not
you'd
this
be
year.
able to go to your,
Right.
to your annual meeting and for part of your budgeting. We wouldn't try to put anything in place between now and then.
Oh, okay.
No.
You know what I mean? Now it's just
So
a
you're looking
start.
for about a year down the road.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
now,
your
this
next,
gives us
our
time.
next budget cycle.
Right,
Yeah, you
so,
can talk again.
right, so you're not gonna change, I mean,
All right.
if you had to
so
make
we
changes
stay
to your
on the
budget,
same system now.
we'd be under the same system until, we just,
So the draft becomes,
Well, we work together on the draft as well. I mean, that's the important part. We gotta adopt a policy. And again, it's not just the water district.
You're
There's-
welcome to pay
there's
10%
a-
of the salary now, though. if you'd like. It's different than 15 years ago. Oh, gosh. Things
But again,
change.
that said, I think it's important to work together on what it is and, what the structure could be. I mean, there's no reason, it's not in our budget this year, it's not we're not asking for anything different than what you're proposing in your budget. It's a matter of saying that we're gonna begin looking at that throughout the summer months to see and it's not just the treasure collector. It's all of the administrative functions. Again, I used the example of a grant round. It's hard for us to capture our actual costs on some of the grants that we operate. And it's time to do that. It's fair to everybody in the town. Any water district updates?
annual district meetings next Monday.
There you go.
Yep, 7 at the safety complex, 7 PM.
Cool. Okay, anything else for the district members? Commissioners? Commissioners?
no, I told Fred the other day, if he ever needs anything, let me know, because we have parts. So,
Well, we talked when Cliffside had their
we have,
issue.
if you need a hydrant backflows, we have those too for you, so
Okay,
if you ever have to tie in.
all right, that's good to know.
I appreciate it, fellas. We'll be continuing to talk throughout
Okay.
the course of the summer.
Hey,
Very
Mike,
good.
thanks.
Much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, good
Good night,
night.
all.
Hey, Fred.
Yeah.
Okay. That one stays out, this one goes out. Okay.
Where you wanna go now?
Sewer, how about sewer fees?
Yep.
Same thing, right? It's kind of
Sewer
tiny.
fees.
Same policy.
This one actually has a little more information in it, this policy, because the town does collect and manage for sewer, so.
So again, sewer users pay the cost of the treatment plant operating budget, pay the cost of capital other maintenance, we know this. 75% of the cost of the solid waste district, we know that. These are all budgetary tasks that are already in place. 100% of the debt service for the system, we know that through appropriation. And then the change here would be a annual percentage or hourly rate or whatever of the sewer operating budget for debt service. Again, bonds, dealing with the debt service. Build and managing those invoices through the town's financial administrative departments. That's one change that's in front of here. And again, it's in accordance with the town sewers connection policy, we also collect the user fees and the permits, and no prorating, and then usage fees not prorated for yearly sewage usage charges. Again, the change here is an administrative, in this case here, percentage, and I guess that'd be one area for discussion.
And where the board has been discussing breaking out the fees based on actual work done, the same can be done with sewer, so.
Any discussion about that? Again, it's allocation of our administrative resources.
Yeah.
I would just say, I mean, as a sewer commissioner, I just wanna make sure that the sewer is using what the town is saying.
Yeah, so you don't run into the trap of overcharging either.
I mean, the goal isn't to make money.
No,
That's right.
no, on the
Right.
contrary.
Pay for your operating
It's just to
costs.
recoup.
That's exactly right.
And it's no different than the town of Deerfield right now trying to, put their hands around what it costs to run the, financial aspect of,
Yes.
the South County ambulance.
That's a really good point, Tom.
Mhm.
As a fiscal agent, there's something associated, there's work associated with that.
Absolutely.
And that's all that this is about.
It's good business practice to know your costs and
Right.
things like that.
Well, the town, Sunderland or Deerfield or Whately or Conway, whatever, they typically, maybe 30 years ago, there was excess staff, but
Not the case today,
hadn't-
without a doubt.
Nice. So questions about, this may come back if it turns into a rate, but currently it's set up as percentage of invoices, percentage of the
Billing,
billing. Right.
it's kinda like a 12B1 fee.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great way to put it. Is there any more discussion? Is there a motion to adopt this policy?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0, please. So we got this is an amendment to an existing policy. Okay. 7:45.
You there?
Where's the rest of your, they're on their way.
Well, you know what, I think if it's okay, I'll just go ahead and start.
Come on up.
Is that all right?
Come on up.
Okay, so I don't have to announce myself. Okay.
Tracy, we're gonna talk
So-
about the school playground, elementary school playground.
Yep, and, from town meeting, we just were coming tonight to kind of follow up on that, and I was able to talk with Carlos this weekend, and I met with the school principal this afternoon at 4
good.
o'clock. And
It
at
was right
this-
after I talked with him. I invited him tonight, but he couldn't come, unfortunately.
Yeah, he said the same thing to me. But, in this process, we've done, for a long time now, particularly Carlos has done a lot of exploration and a lot of documentation on our equipment and our site and things like that. And so at this point, the reason that I'm here tonight is we're just really kind of recommending that we maybe pull 3 pieces of equipment before the end of the school year, before this project actually becomes a job site and, it's getting owned by a contractor and things like that. It feels like it just might be a good idea for us to, identify those items to you all, and Mr. Barshevsky and I and Carlos, we agreed on those 3 pieces. And so the question that I'm asking you tonight is the town crew, are they available to do this sort of thing? And if they are, then Mr. Barshevsky would close, that area while they're working on it and have the children play in different spaces. If, clearly it's gonna be during the work week, but if they had the time.
Trace, I saw the email and I wondered, the town crew versus, the custodial staff between the elementary and Frontier, if there's not the same amount of horsepower available.
It's the equipment to dig it up, I think, that we need to, and that's really just that's why I'm here. I mean,
No, I understand.
It's just a question,
Uh-huh.
so, and if the answer is no, then, then we'll go to the next person to ask, I guess.
So the goal, you guys got a plan for actually outing it? It's like cutting it down to grade and then
I
dig
think
it up or
they
something?
need to be set, you're right, and dug out, exactly.
Maybe we should talk about what those 3 are first, that way.
It's that large
can-
slide, the lower slide, both of them are made of metal, and then the third thing is the
The
dome
dome.
that is, just becoming
Seen
fall.
better days.
Yeah, and I think it's probably, you know, a healthy idea if we can to, you know, consider removing them if we can. And if we can't, then, you know, we could also shut those items down to the children if we believe that that's, you know, a good choice at this point as well. But if we could just get them out of there, you know, it also kind of gets the ball rolling in terms of work.
Okay. Discussion of the board?
And the other thing that I needed to just mention is because, you know, those are town-owned items, all three of those. We can't auction those off. They're not ours to auction, you know. We do need to think about where they are going to go. And I think that that's really something you might want to have input on.
So is the playground the purview of the school committee? I say that, I mean, the body,
Right.
the asset the town owns. I put this in the form of a question, right?
Yeah.
But then the accessibility, you know, et cetera. As a board, we don't vote on annual maintenance at the school.
Okay,
You know, it's just not something that's in our wheelhouse.
okay.
That's why I'm asking if it's a combination of administration and school committee for disposition as a town asset would be this body, that would be the board.
Right.
You know, declare surplus, et cetera. Repairs, removals, you know, are we working in concert? Or is that area of responsibility, I don't wanna create a new layer.
I know, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think to go to school committee first for this for some
Right.
reason.
No, again,
I don't know why I didn't think
Well,
that
there's
way.
discussion at town meeting about the general safety of elements in the playground, and
Right.
so, again, as we all know,
Yeah.
once it's identified, so we have to take some action.
Sure, and it just felt appropriate to have the conversation
Right.
together.
Right. Discussion? Tom?
Just
We have an
pondering, like, what,
appropriation, yeah?
Yep, and I'm guessing those are set in concrete, right?
Yes.
Would make sense.
You cut them and cap them, it's probably just as unsafe.
Yeah, but you have to dig out
Can I
the-
just
the
ask a
footings.
question? Was removal of all the equipment, in order to put the base down, was removal of all the equipment included in that scope?
Yes.
But maybe the thing to do is to rope them off, saran wrap them, and not interfere with the scope of the work, right? Or simply close the playground down.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Sorry about the
that's-
tire, but I run a kids clinic in
Oh, nice.
Northampton for mountain biking, so
Oh, nice.
just came back.
We
Good.
didn't get that far. We got as far as, you know, we've identified these three pieces.
Perfect.
We'd like to remove them or leave them there and shut them down.
Okay.
And the question was, is that school committee's responsibility to make that decision? And then also if it was in the scope of work, which it was part of our line items. So
It wasn't
It's
one
really-
of the line items. It was one of the line items that we thought we could get volunteer work to do.
Okay.
Because it's something that would be simple enough that we could get people to do it. So that was kind of part of that. Again, we could close them, you know, for immediately and just put yellow tape on the two slides, and there's that slider
yeah.
that is broken.
Oh, that makes
and
sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that slider is, that's a bad one, and that one would be
I
also,
didn't mention that.
Yeah.
That's part of equipment that's
Part of the
working,
other one.
but it's a portion of it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
and it has a big, it's just broken, so, you know, the part that's the safety part of it is broken right now. So we could take care of those, I think, immediately, by closing them.
Without having any overlap inside of the project. The reason the questions come up is if you throw resources at it now and it's already included in something we've appropriated for,
Yeah.
like,
That's
you
weird.
know.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
right, okay.
Okay.
That way you can keep ahead with the project plan.
And again, with respect to the responsibility, the general responsibility, the operation of the school, it's certainly not the board, however, however, there's some areas that we'll certainly be happy to weigh in on. So. Tom?
If I remember right, I believe a lot of the money came from PTO,
For the construction of this existing.
you know?
The original.
A lot of it came, and I think that's how the money for the original came from PTO fundraising also, I believe.
The structure, main
'cause
structure. But were those other ones located here at this
No.
school at one point? The metal ones? No? Okay,
they
okay.
were put up,
That's
they
all,
were,
that was new with that
that
school?
was all volunteers put that
Okay.
up. All the volunteers put the playgrounds in.
Yeah, no, I
You
saw.
got the rocks.
we've
It's
seen
been
that.
mostly volunteer work for like the pavilion, the
Right.
refreshing of the front.
Mhm.
We did that, what, 2
I
years
would say
ago?
if you give,
The shed, yep.
I would take the
Yeah.
dome and give it to Mr. Wormy, personally.
You thought it was a good idea?
I think he spent a lot of time trying to
Putting
figure
that
out
together?
how leg A differed from leg B,
Is there
and
one
by
man in a
grade
pile
C,
of parts and a
he spent a lot
toolbox?
of hours.
Fuck, Mr. Fuller be damned, right?
That's
I don't know if it's, it may not be the shape that it was really set out to be.
It was supposed to be flat. It was just
Mr.
improvised.
Mr. Wormy spent a lot of time, him and Mr. Sillen, sitting on the ground looking at pieces. I remember that pretty well.
Now, what year did all that go in?
1996?
96?
Well, 97, 98, something like that.
Because I was just wondering, like, what's the average? you know,
So
the-
the average age is
Playground.
around 20 years
20
for
years.
playground equipment. I mean,
And
it's,
that main one
Depends
is
on usage
really-
and stuff, I would bet, too.
yeah, and when we did the research for the
Ready to
main equipment, that there was an addition to that main equipment at some point, because like the farthest back area was even older than
Okay.
the front part of it. So where the slide is, and actually those were, the empty frame that exists right now, all that stuff was older than the stuff in the front, but, yeah, playground equipment just gets a beating. I mean,
Well,
you
it
get
it's
200
hard to
kids
use,
a
right.
day, plus you get every single season just hitting it. So it's
Yeah.
it is kind of one of those things that every 20 years you gotta
They're the
start.
toughest customers,
You
I
gotta
think.
yeah.
That's a really good way to put it, actually. They're not very forgiving.
I'm just
Well,
wondering.
yeah, that's why wood structures were the rave in the late 80s, and immediately they were like, no, we can't do that. Also, there's issues with splintering, which is
Yeah.
the main
Yes,
issue with the
especially-
wood ones.
Especially the pressure treated stuff.
Yeah, and that's, you can't even
Splinters.
use pressure treater anymore in a playground anymore. You could, there's some treatments, but you couldn't use the old school
Right, because of the
pressure treated.
chemicals, yep.
Because we've sanded that one down in the front playground and
Yes.
resealed it
Mm-hmm.
Stated that way.
at
Dave?
least once.
Because this is in the town's purview in general, right? I'm
Town-
wondering,
it's
it's
town
almost,
asset.
yeah, I'm always wondering, like, if it's something that I suppose we have to account for in the capital plan too, right?
Mhm.
In the long,
Some point.
in other words, if we get this in there now, then we have to kind of like put it at the bottom of the capital plan list, because we know, all right, 20 years from now, approximately,
Mm-hmm.
Coming right
it's
back
gonna
around
be
again.
another, you know,
It's a good way to put it, actually. Make it, again, part of the
to
schedule.
add it to our pile, yeah.
Mhm.
you know.
Pile.
I had a,
That's unfortunately, that's how our capital plan is. It's like pile of
It's getting
backlog.
big.
Yeah,
But
it has to
you
be a
know,
daunting task
you know.
to
No, all too well.
I had a
Margaret?
conversation today with Patty, the business manager at the school, about the procurement. This obviously has to follow procurement statute. It's a big project, and so she's asked her colleagues questions about who's actually going to serve to do the procurement. Is it going to be the town, or is the school going to do it? So I'm asking my colleagues, and she and I are going to talk to figure out who's actually going to be in charge of the.
Okay, because we're meeting with Mr.
Didn't we
Lukaka
have
tomorrow night,
Mhm.
so who makes that decision, Margaret? Will you tell us
The
that?
board does for the town.
Okay, great.
Principle in the motion, isn't it?
For the town, yeah. And if it's the school, things are going to have to go through the school committee, and things would be procured like you procure other
Yes.
Okay.
other items for the
Okay,
Like
school.
any other
Yeah.
project.
So with respect to the conversation at hand, when do you want to out those or take action on those structures that are identified?
We can take, I mean, as soon as possible. I would think, as soon as we can. I mean, I'm more than willing to come in on a weekend also, and start trying to organize people. I think logistically it would be hard to organize a group of parents,
Mhm.
enough parents, and we would, we're talking about 4 or 5 people at least
Mhm.
to deal with that in a week notice. But I could see in a couple of weeks we could figure out who could come in and help us to do that stuff.
We could certainly tape them off, as
Oh, yeah, I
you
think
both
for
have
now.
said.
Originally we could just tape them
Yeah.
off.
Take
and-
that action as early as tomorrow?
Yeah,
Work with
yeah,
Ben?
that would be immediate, and we,
And Ben was ready, yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
talked
talked
to
to
Ben
Ben.
at 4 PM today, and he was, however we all decide to handle it, he was ready work on that.
And then get the logistics going with the teachers and everybody else so they
Okay.
understand what's
Is
going on.
happening.
What's and why, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Tom, anything else to weigh in on?
No, I think we're not left in a very good position. We have to, I mean, everybody sees things and says, well, why didn't someone do something about it? I can go back to when the roof fell on the Sunderland Elementary. I can still see the clock, 9:32. 24 hours before that, Sunderland wouldn't have been by itself, but 24 hours makes a big difference. So if you know about something, you don't have, I'm in a business of safety. Scott, you're in the business of safety. I don't put my people in a position of, if it's dangerous. So why would I put someone's child? I don't see how you can. And it was presented from an expert that there is a safety issue. You have to address the safety issue.
Good point. Okay.
Perfect.
Tape, saran wrap, bubble wrap.
Big yellow tape, I think is a,
Do not cross the line.
because at least for those two, for the slides, for most of the elements, it would be fairly easy just to,
It's not gonna be that hard to
to
make
make
it
it-
clear that they're.
that they can't be out there.
They're off limits.
And we'll get, tomorrow we're starting kind of now, we have a weekly meeting with the playground committee now, so
Right.
tomorrow we're gonna be meeting, and so we'll start moving along on how we can organize the people as soon as possible, so we can get a crew in a weekend and just get those out.
Get them out.
And nobody wants to weigh in on where those items go.
We gotta figure out the disposition.
They
yet.
would have value as
Oh.
scrap metal.
Of course, yeah.
Right. So again, the process is that we would have to declare it if it's
Surplus
found out to be town property, which everybody pretty sure it
Well,
is.
They're not safe.
And so they
Which is
can't
what-
be disposed of to be,
Not safe. So
sold
they're
or-
scrap. They're scrap.
they're
There's
scrap.
so they're by weight.
Mhm.
There's nothing there that's over $500. Our policy is anything less than $500, Margaret takes care of,
That's,
right?
yeah, it's
Scrap
less than
metal.
$500.
And the town can recoup a little bit of money.
Right.
Scrap
Mhm.
metal.
So can I
Hey,
ask
why
a
waste
question
it,
since
right?
we're all here and you guys know these details and I'm learning them? So what playground was at this school? There was no playground equipment here?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
where did
guessing it
that
was just
go?
old and probably the same thing, right?
Most of it they wouldn't let people play on.
Okay, so it was taken away also in a similar sort of,
Yes, time went by, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
none of that stuff was here? Okay,
I-
gosh.
I
it
went
sure
to-
I don't
appears as
believe
though
any
it
of
would
this
be the
stuff. I
right
don't-
age to be
I don't
safe.
believe any of this stuff was, the geo was, we built that, all the green stuff that came
Yeah,
like,
that's.
that's not that old. That's only like
No.
10,
Yeah,
12,
Stuff
12 years
takes a
old.
beating out there.
Maybe.
Our two sons were in there with the year that was installed.
Yeah, you remember that, Scott, right?
Yep.
So
18 years.
Henry and Joseph were probably in, at least probably one of the 4th or 5th grade.
Fourth and first or
So they haven't been there
third
that
in
long.
kindergarten?
And
Those slides just seem more than,
Well, the
15
slides, this
years
is the green
No,
and
the s-
brown climbing
the
structure.
the slides were put up.
metal slides were bought for that playground at that site.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the only slide that was here was on the slide. The slide was on the swings, the swing set.
It's all together.
It was, yeah, it was one
Yeah,
piece.
one of those straight units.
It was one piece.
I went to a Catholic school in East Hampton and played on blacktop. We didn't
So
have
did
a
we.
slide.
Yeah,
So
okay,
did
yep.
Carlos.
See?
That's what I did too.
You
We
know
did
that,
too.
you know that, it's just the way it is.
Things change.
That's right.
No soft safety
Um,
surfaces there.
So this is a community playground, and so there could be kids playing on the playground outside of supervised school hours. So is there gonna be signage to go with the closing off of things temporarily? Okay,
Really good sense.
okay.
Do all the after hours
And then
usage.
we'll report back to you, just so you're in the loop
Yeah.
with when they'll actually be removed.
Okay.
You know, like Carlos said, that could take a little bit of time
Start that
to
big.
get them dug up and removed and then kind of filled back in so that
Mhm.
it's all safe and
Perfect.
ready for action.
You guys are gonna be starting the project now, and that's, one of the elements.
Right.
Yeah.
You're getting them all
First
down.
step really is getting rid of the old stuff, I would imagine.
Okay. Anything else with respect to elementary school playground?
I'll keep you posted on
I know.
procurement. We do
Okay.
have to work out
Yeah.
those details, okay?
Yeah, those are the other side. I normally work
Yeah.
on this side.
Yeah.
There's someone who pays the bills.
Yes. I normally call and go like, so who signs the checks?
Yeah, right, exactly right. Well, very good. Thanks so much for the short notice of the meeting
Oh, no problem.
and Shed coming. I know we just talked about it on Friday, so I
Yeah.
do
Okay.
really
No,
think,
I mean, I think we just need to keep doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
thanks so very
Perfect.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Great night.
Good night.
Okay, public comment?
Anyone?
Want to weigh in? Nope.
Bueller? Bueller?
Okay.
You know, Margaret, we're gonna have to
Excuse me?
put page numbers on
Our
our
policies.
policies.
You raise a good point, actually.
We got a lot of them.
Yeah.
Oh, and they keep,
that's
it.
true.
Yes.
We should
But
have,
I'm looking, trying to find the policy.
They're
It's in the-
supposed to be in tech, they're supposed to.
There
There
is,
is an index.
there's a table of contents.
Right.
but you need a footer with a page 1 of
But I thought,
100 or whatever.
Look at everything that's been done.
Under declaration
Wow.
of surplus?
yeah.
Yeah.
We have a,
Oh, declaration of surplus, yeah.
It's in there.
if it's less than $500, then
Yeah,
It's just the
Margaret
procurement officer.
Margaret can just take care of it.
yeah.
Right. No doubt about that.
It's another
Okay.
hat you have, huh? Procurement officer.
Town
Or
administrator updates?
decurement.
Margaret, you have any
Town
updates?
administrator updates. Okay, so the budget updates have been made to reflect the amendment from town meeting. And I know the clerk worked hard today on updating and certifying the town meeting results. It's now time to get moving on some other backlogs of projects. So hopefully I'm gonna be spending quite a bit of time catching up on energy reports to the state. So that's gonna take a little while.
Nice. We get general comments from the board about town meeting. Annual town meeting, of course, is last Friday. I want to thank everybody who did go, and I want to encourage people to go in future years. Town meeting is this
Yes.
wonderfully quirky, beautiful form of democracy, happens mainly in and around New England. It's a vestige of actual, real, honest participation. But you can't do participation in an empty room.
It's a little sparse this year. That's
So-
probably my key comment.
Yeah.
Little light on the attendance.
So I would encourage people to go next year with the annual and every year. Something we used to take our kids to. Make them sit through it.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's a whole different discussion. Tommy, will weigh in on town meeting?
Yeah, I will. But our policy is $1,000 and you allow the procurement officer to do. So it's here, we talk about how to do it, so it's not a big thing. Town meeting, in my opinion, I heard a couple of comments, and one of the comments was that there was disappointment that we did not discuss the budget and the components of the budget. And I go back and that's true. I mean, we spent a long time putting that budget together and there was no presentation to the town about the budget. And not only that, but we changed the budget format a couple years ago that made it simpler. It was less cumbersome, but at the same time, it begs for a discussion about what's in the budget. So I think I think we could have done a better job at that. We should have put that forward. And we talked, and we didn't talk about the budget. I also thought, our articles, were really, on the town side, were very, sparse. We potentially have put our $2.1 million tip project out of the position it was because we didn't fund $50,000 for the continued engineering study. So we gave up $50,000 for the lack of spending 50,000, we took ourselves out of line for 2.1 million.
Or postponed it.
Maybe.
Mhm.
You don't know.
That's right.
Right.
Because now you're out of the quay. Potentially out of the quay. So you don't know. You may never get in the line again. So I'm disappointed in myself in not pushing that stronger. I don't think that was on my part. It was not good management. Good manager would have said, looked at that and says, we passed $50,000 and we could have got 2.1 million, but then we recommended a $95,000 project that had no other funding tied to it. That's not the right way to do business. As a purely a business standpoint, that's not good business. You're supposed to use money to leverage money, and we didn't do that. So I was disappointed in that. Disappointed in that was a major disappointment. And I thought about it. I also thought about, over the weekend, I thought about the conversations that we have at town meeting and what's said. And I think it's sometimes we shouldn't use hyperbole to make a point. And sometimes we do. We use hyperbole, and that's not fair. I think also that we have a lot of work. I did talk about the elementary budget and the $70,000 that ended up $73,000 for the
Retirements.
retirement, and that still concerns me. We've been talking about that for a couple months yet, and we're no closer to a solution today than we were when we first started that conversation. And we already know we already know we have at least one retirement for next year. So any way you look at it, there's potentially $30,000 or whatever the number is in the budget starting today. That's not budgeted, and that would say, if you look at
It's not budgeted. It's not budgeted. It's not a budget line.
It's not
Right,
a
it
line
wasn't-
item.
It's not a line item. It's,
right, it's not a line item. So if you really think about it, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say the other night, if you really think about it, we have $100,000, $110,000 of 2.5 increase and new growth
Yeah.
on average. We know that right now. And if you said 1/3 to the Sunderland Elementary School, 1/3 to Frontier, and 1/3 to the town, that means today, that retirement, Sunderland Elementary would have to come in at 0.
Or this year's budget.
Right.
Zero
This year's
growth.
budget. 0. So that's, right now, that's a problem. We also know, and I don't know where to go from. We know that right now, if they go whatever new state growth is, maybe next year we'll get $100,000 from the state for education more. I doubt it.
yeah.
So that means we're already in arrears for Sunderland Elementary right now.
I thought this
So
was
we
a
know-
nonfiction show.
Huh?
Sorry, I thought this was a nonfiction show.
Yeah,
But
so-
yeah.
Over the next year, the town could also be reducing its tax levy by another $90,000 if it pays off the school short-term debt, which means the growth next year is going to be low again.
So I know that, but we don't tell the people in our town. The time to tell them is at town meeting. And I don't know, I think we missed that opportunity to tell them that. And I don't know if it would have done any good, because I think people I don't know if they listen sometimes. So that's what I was thinking, Mr. Chair.
Well, as someone who's presented the budget overview, revenues for a number of years, I can appreciate wanting to do that in a more formalized basis. No doubt about that. With respect to the level of participation, that's really the area of concern that I have. I also think that the the total appropriations this year were weighted toward education in total under an umbrella, whether it's capital or operating. All of our expense growth really was driven out of that side. And I hope it doesn't act as a wedge, having it being so weighted toward one area of all the things that we do here in this town. So only that time will tell. So areas for improvement, yeah, we can review those other things forward. With respect to tip, you know, we spent several months working on the warrant, so, you know, that one got by. Okay. David?
The only thing I would say is that I think this is the time, if anybody's got suggestions on information that they like to see going forward, this is the time to actually jump on that, because I know that there are only 3 holds put on there. So part of me says, you know, if somebody wanted to discuss it and they were at the meeting and they didn't discuss it, then it's on them. It's not on us. Or, like I said, if there's something that people want to see in terms of information that they're not getting, or they'd like us to go over, this is a perfect opportunity and time now to start looking at preparations for next year.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm spending a good amount of my time going forwards now, I don't have to worry about the website stuff, on reporting and getting some good information out to people. And I spent a good chunk of one of the nights over the weekend gathering up all the data from FY 2002 through, well, 14, because 15's not out. So I'm gonna be poring over numbers and things like that. So, yeah, anything we can do to assist and make it more clear for people, hey, let us know.
Over the last few meetings in particular, the board discussed the facts with budget growth and limited revenues in Sunderland. And you know, I kind of took it as a directive for me to start putting correspondence together from the board to the other frontier towns and to departments to warn them about the coming year. I mean, you know, in a way that we give facts. I mean, this is the reality. This is the reality, and the sooner it gets done, the better. And the sooner and more often it gets done, the better.
We can have that draft for the next meeting.
Well, kind of to your point, Tom, we know now almost where we are in terms of growth.
Yep,
So it's not like there's any great
And free cash.
surprises, right, in terms of that. So you kind of know, well, here's what the budget can handle. Bear's starting to talk about now how we can work within the constraints of that. I mean, and there's all sorts of other philosophical arguments outside of that, but still, without going for overrides, that's what you've got to work with.
Those are the resources available.
Right.
No doubt about that.
If I could, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I did email Margaret today. I wanted to thank her. And again, sometimes we hear residents complain that the office isn't open on Friday. We hear that about the hours that the office is available. I can just say that the office isn't open on Friday because the town people voted that wasn't a priority to them. And that's why the offices are closed on Friday. What people don't see is the effort that Margaret and Cindy and the town clerk, Wendy, and others put in beyond those hours.
I get emails on Friday when the town is closed, and on the weekends too, I'll say, so that should tell you something.
I run into people here on Fridays all the time.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Margaret and our staff that they are professional, that they understand the importance of town meeting and putting things, and they always have. I have never heard them say it's not my job. And I would say there's very few people in our audience that haven't used those terms. It's not my job. Whenever Margaret or Cindy or Wendy, the people that work for the town, something comes along. Tonight we just saw it with the school trying to work about disposal of property that wasn't included in the original budget. Now it's coming back to the town office staff, limited number, to work it through. I mean, that takes time. You know, and you have to put the bids out, and you have to get somebody to haul it, and it may not sound a lot, but if you're already working with reduced hours and reduced capacity,
An extra burden.
it is a huge. I can say, if you compare the town of Sunderland staffing compared to some of our nearby neighbors, you'd be amazed at the difference in personnel. So Margaret, I would like to thank you and staff for the work that you did. You did an outstanding job once again. I'm very
Thank
proud
you.
that you're working for us.
Thank you,
I'll
and
second
you're
that.
welcome.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we have an election coming up this Saturday, and I would encourage everybody to get out there and vote. There is a 2.5 override question on the ballot. That common misconception, or the common question I've heard is, can that be used in the general operating budget? Can those revenues be directed to the general operating budget? And the answer is a resounding, by statute, no. It cannot be.
An emphatic no.
An emphatic no. A
Yes.
go to jail, no.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
Do this and go to jail.
Yep.
That said, this is an attempt again by this board to place in a ballot and hopefully pass a programmatic funding mechanism for our capital needs here in the town of Sunderland. It represents about 10% of the current level of need as demonstrated by our capital sheet. But that doesn't mean it can't be used by town meeting and future boards and future highway departments, et cetera, to continue to operate and rebuild our infrastructure. So, that said, we have a unique time this year as our large piece of excluded debt is coming off the tax rate to actually still allow our taxes to be lowered a little and fund capital. It's a unique opportunity, and I encourage people to get out there and vote, and I won't lobby for it, but you know my feelings, vote for it. There, you can call the AG's office.
It's what's known as double happiness.
Exactly right. Okay, anything else tonight? We have an appointment for Cooperative Fire Services. There are a couple of names that have been put out. And we can reach out to those people, and then our charge, I had 3 items for a basic charge. This is for our Cooperative Fire Service. Identify common needs and goals with our town of Leverett. Develop 3 specific areas for impact. So give them something simple to start with.
Right.
3 specific areas for impact, and then create the framework for immediately attaining those goals. Maybe I just want to have anything else, you can throw it into the morning.
The only thing I would ask Margaret is, if she would call the towns that were involved in the regional ambulance and ask if there's any interest.
Oh, that's a good point.
Additional interest, yeah.
That's a good
And-
point.
and again, just call and ask.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's a great point. Okay,
And
anything
tell
else?
them what we're doing, let them have the opportunity.
That's a good point.
Uh,
Margaret?
Designees for that working group. Leverett has, did you just go over that and I missed it?
I have a couple of names. Obviously, I think the chief, fire chief should be involved in that. I reached out to a resident, got their voicemail tonight. Currently on the fire department, former finance committee member. I'll wait to get an answer and then get that name accordingly. Do you guys have any names you want to put forward? Yeah,
How many are you looking for?
I think 3. I don't think we need any more than 3, really.
That's
Yeah,
fine. 2,
just a
you don't
small-
need.
Yep.
Okay, so there's one more name we can get to you for tomorrow, Margaret.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get you those notes for the charge. Anything else?
Thursday, May 1st, we started talking about it, but the South County Ambulance will start running
Oh, that's right.
16 hours, 7 days a week paramedic service. What does that mean? It means that if you call May 1st going forward between 7 in the morning and 11 p.m. and you call 911, you will get dispatched. Dispatch will then dispatch the Deerfield or the Deerfield ambulance. with a paramedic crew. That Deerfield Ambulance will service Deerfield, Sunderland, and Whately.
First
On
step.
First day is May.
16
May
hours a
1st,
day, 20.
7 to 11,
7 days a week, 16 hours a day.
correct.
Okay.
The second ambulance, if that ambulance is tied up, the second ambulance, if there's a call from Sunderland, the Sunderland EMT ambulance will respond. If it's in Whately, the Whately will respond, and if it's in Deerfield, either Sunderland and or Whately will respond to Deerfield.
Perfect. As it's been described before, the soft rollout.
Yes.
It's gonna be kind of like a soft serve, it's gonna be a soft,
Soft start?
roll-off.
Right, just like a restaurant, so.
Yep.
But it'll help us, and Zach, the director, is working on, I believe he told us the last meeting that we had that he has manning in place, to make that happen.
Nice. Okay, anything else?
Mr. Chair?
All right, we have an election coming up this Saturday. Please exercise your right to get out and vote. A lot of people work hard to keep that right for us. Okay, something else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Can I just add one thing on the capital? If anyone is interested in looking at the original capital plan, before Saturday, we're open. We're open tomorrow till 4, 8 to 4, Wednesday, 8 till 4, and then Thursday, 8 till noon. We can make that available if anybody wants to look to see what's on the capital plan, to be, to be educated on what the capital stabilization need is.
As well as the handouts from, town meeting. Rock?
Yes. The entire capital plan is not, but we could put that up on the website too.
Be a good idea, yeah.
Great.
And, actually, one other follow-up that reminds me too, is not only does no money not go back into the general budget, but it also has to, everything in that plan has to be voted on at town meeting as well, so.
That's right, town meeting is still the appropriating body.
Right,
That's a really
so
good point
it's an
there.
extra-
It can get lost in the mix.
Right, so you still have to approve it.
Okay. Nothing else? Is there a motion?
Motion.
The board is just going to adjourn to executive session to approve final minutes for the year before the annual election.
Get my cheat sheet out.
Oh, that's it?
For it to come up on the webpage. If you want a paper form.
You can have one right here. Okay. This is under 7.
That's not the full 5-year, but that's the current.
That's the current.
We got plenty of copies, you can keep that. Yeah,
Thanks so much.
thanks.
Have a great night.
Night.
So at this point, I entertain a motion to enter into executive session. As Margaret has said, this is prior to an election, we review any open minutes, and then that, in the event there's turnover in the board. So this is under Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21, item number 7. And this is to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant in aid requirements. And again, all we're doing is going to review minutes prior to an annual election. We'll be returning to open session only to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Roll call?
Sorry.
Aye.
Roll call. Mr. Feinkevitz, Mr. Bergeron?
Aye.
Mr. Hughes?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, FCAT.
Hey, she went solo tonight.
I know.